what do you think about this this blatant, what's it called, rulership of all information and media that we can get?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because 2 weeks ago, I was on a panel from Brooke Media. That's our community access channel in Brooklyn. So I'm actually a producer there. So that's why I love the fact that you have your YouTube channel. And I was going to ask you if you have a Manhattan Neighborhood Network show or not. And if you don't, you should. Because everybody that's concerned about these issues, about not enough media that covers us, that is by us and for us, should actually just go to their local community television station, take a course there. It's very low cost. And then you have a voice, you have a platform to combat all this BS, I almost said other words, that's out there, that's working against us. Like your show, I would love to watch your show on Manhattan Neighborhood Networks, because you already have the footage there. You just take it, make a 28-minute program, boom. That's how we combat it. You know how we combat like corporate media? Stop watching it. Stop buying it. You have friends that say, I watched Fox News. I didn't see anything about James Lane or Keem Browder on it. Then don't watch it. The only reason they're so big and strong is because they're getting money. They're getting money from advertisers. I know, I work in the internet advertising business. If you stop going to their websites, if you stop watching their TV shows, if you stop buying their papers, guess what? They will go out of business, and we don't need them. They're not providing information about us. Support your local community. Support your YouTube channel, right? Put your YouTube channel on Manhattan Neighborhood Networks. We'll get it on there. Spread that word. Find community, find independent media that better has a voice for you. Like, instead of watching Fox News, CNN, or whatever major media, go to Democracy Now! And right now people are afraid about Russians, but honestly, I watch RT.com so much because even 2 years ago when we did a shutdown of Rikers Island with Stop Mass Incarceration Network during the October 23rd, 24th, 25th, I think 22nd, 23rd, 24th, those 3 days. One of the days was a big civil disobedience act to shut down Rikers Island. It was shut down for about three and a half hours or so. And I was there with my video camera covering it. There was no major media there except for News 12. So I support News 12 because they seem like to be more locally focused, and RT.com. And RT.com broadcast that action around the world. And so much, I actually got a call from somebody from the UK while I was at a rally the next day and wanted us to come over there and talk about these issues. Because these are people that actually take the media, that take the information from the streets and share it with people. Corporate media just cares about serving the corporate rulership, right? And the corporate rulership is attached to the political officials that they donate to. So, of course, once again, of course the Campaign Finance Board does not want to do anything to help independents or even lesser known, competitors to the incumbents. Like you said, Sal Albanese, right? He said, I'm going to run as an independent. Well, first he tried to run in the Democratic primary, and he got the Bernie Sanders treatment, where he pretty much got shut down. He can't participate. He doesn't, have the money. He doesn't have the war chest that de Blasio has.
Of course not, because he would have been a real contender against Nicole Maliotakis.
Exactly.
They needed somebody who has a lot of skeletons in their closet. Sal is very well seasoned. I met him. I went to the mayoral debate. That's where I officially met you in person, not just in social media. So you would think, if there was any really, good people, like they'd say, right, that they would have been like, hey, I'm going to go out and vote for Sal Albanese. Nobody went out to vote.
Right.
I think from the white vote on the primary elections here in New York City, I think it was probably 5%.
Yeah, it was 14% overall.
Overall, yeah. 14% went out to vote. Why did only 14% went out to vote? Because they know they're so comfortable. They say hey, whoever, either Nicole Maliotakis or de Blasio, they have my best interests.
Also, I put the blame back on Campaign Finance Board and Board of Elections, because their main job is Board of Elections' main job is to collect people's voter registration, get them registered in the system, and to inform them about elections. And I know so many people said, I didn't even know there was a primary going on. So, and all I have to do is just do a simple mailer out to everybody, say, here's a primary going on, here's your candidates, and here's your polling location. That's all you need to do, you know. And if you're doing it electronically, collect email addresses and send out an email blast if they have that functionality. Same thing with Campaign Finance Board. Still to this date, so many people have not gotten their voter guide. I don't know, did you ever get yours?
No.
Right, so the election is next Tuesday, and you still haven't gotten your voter guide in the mail, and you're a registered voter.
No, but we get them in the building. They usually they just bring a whole batch and leave it at the lobby, and people pick it up. They bring a whole box.
That's ridiculous. What they're supposed to do is everybody that's a registered voter is supposed to get a voter guide delivered to them personally. And they're not doing that. So where is that money going to? I mean, right now it seems like that money is going to Tish James. She got $700,000. I would like Tish James, if you're listening right now, you return that $700,000 back to the city. You don't deserve that. Your nearest competitor raised $40,000 and you knocked them out of the primary. So there's nobody, like even the Republican candidate, I think he only raised like $8,000. I only raised like a little over $5,000. Why does Tish James, the incumbent, require so much money? Why is she going around in her fundraising letters saying, I have so much opposition to these third-party candidates and Republican candidates? She's perpetuating that lie that, you know, you have to vote for the Democrat because they're the Democrat, rather than talking about the issues that are important to everybody. She touts that, oh, we've passed more legislation, we've had 30,000 cases that have been solved. But Tish, I want to see the statistics on how many cases were not solved. Brooke here said she called your office many times. You have not returned her call for interviews.
I didn't call. I didn't call. I
emailed. Right.
I was talking to her secretary.
Yeah.
He's trying to reconnect.
There you go.
Yeah, no, $50 a month I pay for Spectrum. I call it a sputum. You know, I mean, but just think about it, you know, like if people, they put all that money together over the last 20 years that they've been paying to watch television for the cable, whatever they get their television, they would have been having almost halfway through their own home.
Yeah. Yeah.
To own a home.
Exactly.
And this is what it prevents you, like, you know, and you still get commercials.
Right.
You're paying for cable or whatever. You still get commercials.
Exactly.
When they told us, when cable came out, they say, oh, you're going to get rid of the commercials. That's how, like, do they respect anything, any treaty they make? No, never. They break every promise they make.
Right.
This is why you have to vote for James Lane for public advocate. That's your hashtag, right? What's your hashtag?
Yeah, vote James Lane is my hashtag. It's my website.
James Lane. Check it out every day and retweet. We need to retweet because, you know, there has to be a presence in social media. Please, like the next 4 days, Google James Lane, Google Green Party, and share it. The more retweets, the more you amplify his message, his campaign, because, you know, that's the only way that we can, you know, even make a slight dent.
I mean, and that's what we're trying to do too, because like I said before, the campaigns, well, Board of Elections is failing everybody because they're not letting everybody know. Still to this day, people don't know Election Day is on Tuesday. They think that the Election Day is, you know, next year. You know, they don't know because, you know,
we have gone from almost 70% voting rate
to
in
23%.
The 60s and 70s to now barely 20.
Yeah. It's just ridiculous.
Barely 20.
And this, even 20%. And this is the best part. I'm you know what? I normally don't do this, but I'm going to spend a lot of my time talking about my opponent, because in 2013, when Tish James won, right? So here's another example of this system. So there was a Democratic primary. I think it had 5 Democratic candidates running for public advocate. They had the primary election. They didn't have a clear winner, right? So they had to have a special election, which cost the city $13 million, right? Which I immediately sent out a press release that got some media exposure on Chinese TV. Chinese TV covered me. The local TV didn't want to hear. The local news didn't want to hear this. But I said, Tish, you are also running on the Working Families Party line, the line that she originally won her city council seat on. So why are you causing the city $13 million to do the special election when you're already going to be on the general election ballot as Working Families candidate? Give Daniel Squadron the Democratic line. You run as the Working Families line. Save the city $13 million and continue to run until November.
The Squadron didn't quit?
Yeah, so Squadron, so Squadron quit now.
Yeah, he quit now. Yeah.
I know, yeah. So, but that was funny. So that's what happened in 2013. They were battling out for public advocate. Then they had another special election that cost us all $13 million, which we could have used for affordable housing and, healthcare and jobs and all these kind of things. A true public advocate would not do that. That's my complaint. People say, but she wants to win. I'm like, yeah, she wants to win at what cost? The cost to us are, my son's public school is starving for funding because we don't like to put 50 children in a classroom like the Board of Election wants us to do. So because we don't do that, they cut funding for us, so the parents have to make up the cost. That I look at Tish James and her $13 million special election and blame her for that. I'm blaming her for $700,000 she got from the Campaign Finance Board right now. Public advocates don't do that. They just run elections, especially if they're incumbents. They run on what they stand for. So what I was going to say about one more thing about the Campaign Finance Board, they had additional televised debates set up through New York One, through Campaign Finance Board, right? But because Tish James' competitors did not raise $250,000 and spend $250,000 prior to that date, right? They were not allowed to come in. So my thing is, because we're talking about spectrum and all this kind of stuff, if New York One already has the space allocated for a public advocate debate that day, why doesn't New York One still continue to have that public advocate debate with all the contendants, regardless of what the criteria was? Everybody on the ballot should be allowed in that debate. I know right now in our race there's a Libertarian candidate, there's a Republican candidate. I think there's a Conservative Party candidate. Tish is running on two lines because, she doesn't want to just win on one. She wants to make sure she gets votes from both sides. This is the corruption. And all these current incumbents, this election, right? Akeem Browder, our Green Party mayor candidate, goes around and says, we have majority vote. And people said, he shouldn't say that, but that's just really, pompous to say something like that or whatever. It's that, but what he's meaning is, when you have an election when only 23% of the vote turns out, 23% of people turn out to vote, that's not a fair election. I think that election should be recalled because you haven't had the majority of the people decide on who should represent us. You haven't a super minority of the people represent us. So I say, as public advocate, I would even put in legislation that any election where you don't have a turnout of at least 50%, at least 51% is not considered quorum, and you have to run an election again. Or we do some real transformation, because like I said, there's primaries, all this kind of stuff. It's old and antiquated. I want to go to other countries, other cities around the U.S. They use ranked choice voting, right? So everybody runs for office. You have multiple candidates on a ballot, and you could pick. You can pick and choose and rank your choices. So like you say, you like me because I'm calling out Tish James on a lot of nonsense right now. So you vote me as your first choice, but then you like Tish James because she does good speeches, so you vote her second, and then you vote for Juan Carlos for third for Republican, right? And then based on who gets the most number one votes, whatever, they win. So, and if that person doesn't get the most number one, then you go to your second choice. So your vote gets transferred until there, a true winner is found in that election. So that's the kind of thing that I would like to put through. I know when I ran in 2013, and we had that thing with that $13 million special election, my city council person, Brad Landers, right, from District 39, he put in a proposal for ranked choice voting for primaries, which I said which actually should be expanded to general elections, so we wouldn't have to do primaries. So everybody knows election day is November 7th or whatever day in November.
It's always I think it's the second Tuesday.
Yeah, second Tuesday of the month or whatever.
Of November, yeah.
Right, and make it a citywide holiday, so people don't have to scramble at 6 in the morning to get to the polls and scramble after work to get to the polls. Make it a citywide holiday, do ranked choice voting, and also do early voting. So you have like a week before that. That'll be the deadline. So people have a week to vote. So if like you just can't take the day off. Like there's a lot of jobs, even though it's a citywide holiday, they're still working. You know, I mean, MTA's working, right? They take people here and there. If you have the day off, you want to go to the museum, you still need a bus driver or someone to take you there. So they need, you know, a week to figure out what day can I go and actually vote.
Absolutely.
You know, so these are the things we're going to do. But the Democrats and Republicans in office do not want to change this. That's why they're
because that's all by design.
Exactly.
Those are the pitfalls that prevent people from empowering themselves and like from saying like, you know, they have a lot of people I ask is like they say is like, oh, I already voted so many times, and I never get my voice heard. So they become discouraged. People, they become like, you know, they say it's like, you know, there's never gonna be our turn because, you know, it's like they are on steroids.
Yep.
You know, and I'm so glad that you spoke up about the current public speaker, because I mean I had no idea. I mean I have heard about, you know, this kind of like whatever double dipping and double, you know, that they go like, it's really stuff that should be regulated, and they should be like, you know, hey, you know, that's number one, is unnecessary spending. You know, that's the money that could have been going to public schools and really important things. So I'm really glad. I'm learning so much.
Yeah.
I wonder if I continue with this, I'm going to end up being a political analyst.
Yeah, why not? Because we have people that are political analysts, and they're serving the major parties all the time. They're talking about, oh, so-and-so doesn't have a chance because blah, 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 because they're serving that same structure. Like you said, by design. That's what a lot of those political analysts do. You are a better political analyst than Hank Shankoff and all these other people that are out there right now.
Well, because I don't really have any. I'm not selling anything. I'm not, you know, I'm not really interested in money, whatever. It's like, oh, to be strategic. I get so many like feedback saying, oh, you should be more strategic and keep it light and keep it cute and keep it like whatever. We already have that. It's called the Wendy Williams Show. You can just go right there, and you know, I don't faint. You know, you know. I mean, it's just like
that's good. I like that. It likes all the hearts. I love that.
I know. So it is like everybody has their own. Why can't there be a you know, I'm in my lane, Wendy Williamson's in her lane, and we are never even gonna cross nothing. We're not even like this close. She'd be like, more power to her.